Hey there YouTube, welcome to Showcase Watches. Today bringing you a quick video about the Rolex Submariner 114060, and this video is answering a question. So a lot of people have asked why I sold my Rolex Submariner 116610LN, that being the ceramic 40mm date Submariner. I sold that watch to purchase the Rolex Submariner 114060, that being the one we can see here in the video, the no-date 40mm Submariner. And the answer is quite simple. I wanted to do this video because a lot of people have asked me, since they've found out that I've gone for the no-date over the date version, they've asked me why have I done it. They're considering buying a Submariner themselves, and they're wanting my advice, and they're wanting more my opinion, I think, than my advice. They're just wanting to go into their decision fully informed, and why did I do what I did. And so I thought I'd do a video in response to that. Now, as many of you know, in 2016 I purchased my first Rolex, that being a Rolex Submariner no date, the 114060. So from that point of view, the no date Submariner holds a special place in my heart. That one that I purchased was a pre-owned 2014 model, so it's two years old, and I had that watch, loved it, and then got opportunity to buy a brand new one in 2017 from an authorised dealer. So of course I did that. Having your name on the card and everything is a fantastic thing. So I purchased one brand new from an AD. I wore that watch for 3 years, and then decided I wanted a date complication. So I purchased the Rolex Submariner 116610LN and just didn't like it. I just didn't like the date version of the Submariner. To me, the Submariner is a no-date watch. Personally, I don't feel that the Submariner is a date complication watch. I know that there are dozens of different models out there with the date complication. For me, the Submariner is a no-date version, much like, quick wristwatch check, the Omega Speedmaster Professional. This is a no-date watch. Any Speedmaster with a date complication, in my opinion, just isn't true to the model. But that's just my opinion. Who am I to tell you that a watch should or shouldn't have a date? That's just my taste. So this particular watch, the Rolex Submariner 114060. So the reason why this one is my personal favourite in the Submariner line, there are several reasons. One, the reason I've explained, it was my first Rolex Submariner. Not this exact one, but one identical to it. So I had a brand new 2017 Submariner no date. I sold it to purchase a Rolex Submariner 116610LN, thinking I was making an upgrade, having a date window was going to be more useful. I found out afterwards that I was very, very disappointed, and I missed having a date version. That was my primary reason for going back to a no-date Submariner. The second reason is this model. So the 116610LN actually came out in 2010 and ran until 2020. So it's recently, in September 2020, just been discontinued. So the date version had a 10-year run. The no-date version had an 8-year run. It was a 2012 watch, and it ran until 2020, until it was discontinued. So there was only an 8-year run. And best estimates, for every 10 Rolex Submariner 116610LNs, there was only one 114060. So for every 10 date versions, there's only one no-date version. The no-date is by far the less common watch. It's quite difficult to get hold of, certainly in good condition. It is the true icon. This is a 40mm watch. Now, the new model that's just been released is 41mm across the case, or they call it 41mm, but I haven't had one in person, but I'm told it's more like 40.5mm across the case. And then they've moved the distance between the lugs to 21mm across the lugs. So a bit of a upgrade in the size. This model, as you see here, is a 40mm case, and it's 20mm between the lug. Now, that to me is the perfect dimensions for a Rolex Submariner. I personally like the 20mm across the lugs, and I like the 40mm case. I think the 20mm at the lugs and then tapering down to 18mm at the clasp, I think is just the perfect bracelet size. I really do. I have owned Tudor in the past, which has got 22mm across the lugs. They always feel a little bit on the chunkier side. So I haven't handled the 21mm version, so I can't comment on that. But to me, the 20mm across the lugs and the 40mm case is the perfect size. I think the super case, because I'm a bigger built guy with a 7.5-inch wrist, I think the super case is perfect. I think it's perfectly proportioned. A lot of people weren't keen on the super case because they felt the super case was too chunky and that the Submariner should be more slender, like its predecessor, the pre-ceramic Submariner. Personally, I think the super case nailed it. I really like the super case. I think it's perfectly sized. Much like my GMT Batman, which you can just see in the background whirring away in the watch winder, that being at the same dimensions. And I just feel it fits my wrist perfectly. Another reason I purchased this watch is 2017 was a very important year to me. It was the year that my daughter was born, and 2017 was the year that I opened my new business premises. So quite a lot happened for me in 2017. So this particular model you see here is also a 2017. Obviously I purchased it pre-owned, but it came to me in unworn condition, still with factory stickers. So it was technically brand new, like new old stock. But it is a 2017 model, which was quite important to me to get that model year. So I sold my original Submariner, my 114060, thinking I was making the correct decision, upgrading to a date version. I got the date version, I found that I didn't like it. It was too similar to my GMT Batman in proportions with the Cyclops and everything, and I just felt that it just wasn't getting the wrist time. I just wasn't in love with the watch. I just didn't love it. I much prefer the symmetry of the no-date version. The no-date version is, in my opinion, the icon. So I sold the 116610LN and went back to the no-date Submariner. I realised I made an error and corrected the error. As soon as I realised I'd made it, I corrected it and went back to the no-date Submariner. So that's my reasoning. And the no-date Submariner, it's the purest model. It's the one that the purists will go for. It's got the perfect symmetry. It's a design icon. The Cyclops, it's not something I'm a massive fan on. I don't mind it on the GMT, but on the Submariner, it's just not for me. And it is just my personal preference. It's just not for me. The no-date Submariner, it was a smaller production run for 8 years. It was made in less numbers, so it's a much rarer watch. So the chance of you seeing a no-date Submariner on someone's wrist is much more unlikely than if you're going to see a date version. The date version is very common to see on people's wrists. And I just love this watch. I love the symmetry of it. I love the simplicity of it. I love the design of the watch. I think it's an absolute design icon. And it's tool watch through and through. Unfortunately, Rolex has become something of a status symbol. It is something of a bit of a sore point with a lot of people because it's, Rolex, it is a fantastic watch, but it also bears with it some negativity as well. So it does carry its downside, but I still feel in the Rolex catalogue, the no-date Submariner is one of the only no-fuss tool watches. I would say that the no-date Submariner and the Explorer, the Rolex Explorer, they seem to be the no-fuss, simplicity, tool watches that Rolex still do. The rest of them, my Rolex GMT Batman, prime example, I certainly wouldn't call that a tool watch. I think it's gone beyond a tool watch now. I think Tudor's probably taken over from what Rolex were originally doing. But I feel that the Rolex Submariner no-date and the Explorer are probably still classified as tool watches, albeit expensive tool watches, but I think they still carry the tool watch belt. So I just wanted to make this video just to answer the questions because I have had quite a number of emails, comments in videos and mentions in live streams about why I made the decision to go for the no-date Submariner over the date version. And that's it. In a nutshell, it was just personal preference. It was personal preference. There was no financial reason. The price of this watch compared to a date Submariner, there's very little in it. There's very little price difference between the watches. It's purely personal preference. For me, this has symmetry. The Cyclops, they're a little bit of a pain to clean. I do wear this, as a bit more of a tool watch, so it does get dirtier quicker. And the Cyclops was a bit of a pain to clean. It was less production run, so only made for 8 years, makes it a little bit rarer. And I believe that this will be a very, very collectible watch in the future. It's the last 40mm Rolex Submariner in existence. So think of it that way. The Rolex Submariner came out in 1953 as a no-date variant. And this one is the last of the 40mm Submariners. And because the super case was a limited run, there's only 8 years of the super case no-date Submariner. So it's a low production watch. It's quite a rare watch. It's only made for 8 years, and it's the super case no date for 8 years. So in the history of Rolex, the super case 40mm no date Submariner, I think in the future is going to be a very, very rare collectible watch. That's not my sole purpose for owning it. It does come down to aesthetics first, but it's certainly a player. I think this is the purest model, and you guys know, I like the icons. I like the purest model. Not to mention, as you guys know, I'm a massive Bond fan, and the Rolex Submariner was the watch worn by the British secret spy 007. So, that does have a little bit of a bearing on it as well. Being a massive movie fan and a Bond fan, it does have a little bit of a sway on it as well. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos. I have reviewed this watch, not this exact watch, but my original one. I have reviewed this watch in some depth, and yeah, check it out. But please, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. So thank you for watching, and I hope everyone takes care in these difficult times. Thanks for watching.